admittance was met with, and I kid you not, a visible repulsion. Now why? Well, it's because they might not be able to continue to live the way that they think they should live. That they might have to drop the lifestyle that they've been following, that they might have to behave differently, that they might have to drop the hubris or be more open-minded or be more humble or other things that we're called to be, in the Word. And it struck me right then and there that this is really what it comes down to. All of this matters. The fight for life, the fight for basic biological standards, the fight for school choice, the fight for taxes, the fight for sovereignty, the fight for borders. However, if we don't recognize this is a spiritual war first and foremost, that they are fighting for the abolition of a belief in the divine, then we're just arguing X's and O's when there's a much bigger picture at play here. Because as soon as you get a college leftist especially to admit that there is a God, a ubiquitous, an omniscient God that has power over them, that has granted the rights to you, all of a sudden maybe government doesn't matter as much. All of a sudden that clump of cells that they think is in, that they call a fetus, actually might be a life. If you admit there's a God, all of a sudden right and wrong are not an opinion anymore. Right and wrong are truth that is written in the Word. Because if you believe there's no God, right and wrong is just a matter of opinion. It's just, well, this is what I think is right, and this is what it's called moral relativism. And what has that got in the world? 60 million abortions since Roe versus Wade, where we have an epidemic of pornography in our country that the whole culture just is acting as if it doesn't exist right now in America. And you see this happen until we recognize where the rights come from a divine, then that is the discussion that really needs to begin to happen. And what was so telling to me, though, when I closed out my time at Brown and my conversation was, of course, the opposition, the antagonism. But once you stood firm and you did not care about the arrows, the names, the protesting and the screaming, finally, they begin to crack. Yes, after 40 minutes of protesting and an hour of protesting, something happens that does not usually happen in the mind of an Ivy League Marxist leftist. They began to think. And there's a difference between following and thinking. And God gave us a heart, but He also gave us a mind, analytically and rationally. And if you rationally look at leftism, you will come to the same conclusion, that it is a force of cultural chaos and destruction that will destroy everything that it comes in contact with. Chaos and order, remember that dichotomy. Everything they stand for is about creating more chaos. Now, why else do they want chaos? When you create chaos, it's a great excuse for totalitarianism. When you create chaos, it's a wonderful license to make, exactly, it's a wonderful license to create a king, a dictator, or a ruler, and Rob can explain.
Well, I was going to say the Hegelian dialectic.